Hello friends, it's Apitiki and welcome to DAGON, a story by H.P. Lovecraft. It's a horror game. It's like a storytelling horror game where we just like go with the story. I hope it's going to be good, so let's just get right into it.
I am writing this under an appreciable mental strain, since by tonight I shall be no more.
During the game you will encounter interactive elements. Some of them will allow you to continue your journey. Others reveal interesting facts about the original short story, its historical background and the author. Some of the trivia is hidden. In order to find these secrets, focus your eyes and look for the elder signs. Okay. Ooh. Lovecraft's letters. As to letters, my case is peculiar. I write such things exactly as easily and as rapidly as I would utter the same topics in conversation. Indeed, epistolary expressions is my largely replacing conversations as my condition or nervous prostration becomes more and more acute. I cannot bear to talk much now, and am becoming as silent as the spectator himself. My loquacity extends itself on paper. I didn't understand lots of words here, but it's okay. Ooh, December 23rd, 1917. Okay. Okay, you can read the discovered trivia immediately or go back to the letters. Okay. Cool. Huh. Light. I cannot look there. So...
Penniless, and at the end of my supply of the drug which alone makes life endurable, I can bear the torture no longer, and shall cast myself from this garret window into the squalid street below.
Is that like a, pain medication?
Do not think from my slavery to morphine that I am a weakling or a degenerate. When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though never fully realize, why it is that I must have forgetfulness or death.
Oh. I like that he's speaking, very... Morphine! Okay, so it was... Okay. Morphine entered into use in the 19th century and was routinely administered to treat severe pain during the American Civil War and World War II. It was also sold without restrictions until 1940s. Damn! With no restrictions. I know that you can get morphine now, but only a last resort. Morphine became more popular after the invention of the hypodermic syringe around 1854. Frederick Turner, who first isolated the substance, originally named it morphium after Morpheus, the Greek god associated with dreams. At the time when DAGON was published, morphine abuse, known as soldier disease, already posed a big problem in the United States. Damn. I didn't know that. Some wine, love happy juice. We do like some happy juice. Lots of happy juices. And nothing else. Okay. Let's write the poem. Oh God.
It was in one of the most open and least frequented parts of the broad Pacific that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider.
No, I don't like this. Can I move? No. I don't like the sea.
The Great War was then at its very beginning, and the ocean forces of the Hun had not completely sunk to their later degradation.
Yeah, so I don't like the ocean.
So that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners.
Huh. Oh. The HUNS. The HUNS were Central Asian nomads who established a domination in Europe and invaded the Roman Empire in the 5th century. They were known as brutal, deadly warriors and master of quick raids who also developed powerful composite bows, lassos and early siege weapons. During World War I, the British used the word Han as a synonym for Germans in order to emphasize their brutality. However, the term originated when the German Emperor Wilhelm II gave a speech to his troops on 27th July 90s. Before they embarked to China, should you encounter the enemy, he will be defeated, no quarter will be given. prisoners will not be taken. Whoever falls into your hands is forbidden. Just as 1,000 years ago, the Huns under their king Attila made a name for themselves, one that even today makes them seem mighty in history and legend, may the name German be affirmed by you in such a way in China that no Chinese will ever again dare to look cross-eyed at a German. The refusal to take prisoners was a cruel breach to the laws and customs of war adopted during the First Hague Convention of 1899. Damn. It's pretty fucked up. It's pretty fucked up. Pretty? A lot. Okay.
So liberal, indeed, was the discipline of our captors, that 5 days after we were taken, I managed to escape alone, in a small boat, with water and provisions for a good length of time.
Oh, so you escaped. Good for you. But I hate the ocean.
When I finally found myself adrift and free, I had but little idea of my surroundings. Never a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator. Of the longitude, I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight.
Huh. The moon. The moon. The stars. So, the moon. Let's go to the moon.
The weather kept fair, and for uncounted days I drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun, waiting either for some passing ship or to be cast on the shores of some habitable land.
This is scary. This is very, very scary. Do you have water?
But neither ship nor land appeared, and I began to despair in my solitude upon the heaving vastness of unbroken blue.
I would too.
The change happened whilst I slept.
What change?
Its details I shall never know.
What details?
For my slumber, though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous.
Oh God. Hi. Hi. We're still moving. Hi.
When at last I awoke, it was to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire, which extended about me in monotonous undulations as far as I could see.
Okay.
And in which my boat lay grounded some distance away.
I can see.
Though one might well imagine that my first sensation would be of wonder at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery, I was in reality more horrified than astonished.
I am horrified.
For there was in the air and in the rotting soil a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core.
This is scary.
The region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish and of other less describable things which I saw protruding from the nasty mud of the unending plain. Perhaps I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity. There was nothing within hearing and nothing in sight save a vast reach of black slime. Yet the very completeness of the stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear. The sun was blazing down from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty, as though reflecting the inky marsh beneath my feet.
Don't move to me, please. You're disgusting. Oh God. Okay. Dagon seems to be inspired by Fishhead, a short novel by Arvin S. Cobb about a natural affiliate between a hybrid idiot and a strange fish of an isolated lake. Supernatural horror in literature, H.P. Lovecraft. And Lovecraft's dream about a strange island emerging from the ocean and him crawling in the ooze that covered its surface. I dreamed that the whole hideous crawl and can yet feel the ooze sucking me down. Ew. In defense of Dragon, H.P. Lovecraft. Lovecraft's interest in the topics stem from his aversion to fish and sea smell. In his own words, I have hated the fish and feared the sea and everything connected with it since I was 2 years old, but I cannot recall what earlier experience gave me such a profound and lasting aversion to the sea and seafood. I love seafood, but I am scared of the ocean. So, yep. Oh god, disgusting. Okay.
As I crawled into the stranded boat, I realized that only one theory could explain my
What is
position.
that?
Through some unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths.
Yeah.
So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, straining my ears as I might. Nor were there any seafowl to prey upon the dead things.
Okay. Hi. Fish. Don't touch it.
For several hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun moved across the heavens. As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for traveling purposes in a short time.
Okay, so...
That night I slept but little, and the next day I made for myself a pack containing food and water, preparatory to an overland journey in search of the vanished sea and possible rescue.
Gotcha. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
On the third morning, I found the soil dry enough to walk upon with ease. The odor of the fish was maddening, but I was too much concerned with graver things to mind so slight an evil. And
Oops, an evil, and set out boldly for an unknown goal. Sorry, I pressed a little too early. Oh, we're going on an adventure. Oh my god.
I forged steadily westward, guided by a faraway hummock which rose higher than any other elevation on the rolling desert.
See, this is why I'm scared of like the oceans and stuff, because what if those kind of disgusting stuff that are absolutely horrifying like are actually in the depths of the water? That's horrendous. I'm sorry, but I can't. Okay. Let's go further. I don't know where we're going, but we're going. Oh
That
my
night,
god.
I encamped, and on the following day still travelled toward the hummock, though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first espied it.
Uh-huh. That thingy. What is that? Don't scare me. Thank you.
By the fourth evening, I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance.
It's a
An
mountain.
intervening valley setting it out in sharper relief from the general surface. Too weary to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill.
How can you sleep here? I could never.
I know not why my dreams were so wild that night,
Why?
but ere the waning and fantastically gibbous moon had risen far above the eastern plain, I was awake in a cold perspiration, determined to sleep no more. Such visions as I had experienced were too much for me to endure again. And in the glow of the moon I saw how unwise I had been to travel by day. Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy.
So we're going?
Indeed, I now felt quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset. Picking up my pack, I started for the crest of the eminence.
So we're going? Okay. Let's take our bag
I
and
have
go.
said that the unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me.
Oh god.
But I think my horror was greater when I gained the summit of the mound and looked down the other side into an immeasurable pit or canyon,
Can we see the...
whose black recesses the moon had not yet soared high enough to illumine.
The moon is beautiful,
I
at
felt
least.
myself on the edge of the world,
You kinda
peering
are.
over the rim into a fathomless chaos of
God.
eternal night.
That's scary.
Through my terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost, and of Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms of darkness. As the moon climbed higher in the sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined.
Huh.
ledges and outcroppings of rock afforded fairly easy footholds for a descent, whilst after a drop of only a few hundred feet, the declivity became very gradual.
Okay, so do you want to go down? I guess you do. Where do you want to go, though?
Urged on by an impulse which I cannot definitely analyze,
Oh my god.
I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath, gazing into the Stygian deeps, where no light had yet penetrated.
No shit, there's
All
no
at
light.
once, my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope,
Aliens?
which rose steeply about 100 yards ahead of me.
Are those aliens?
An object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon.
The moon. Wow. Go further.
That it was merely a gigantic piece of stone, I soon assured myself.
It's not just a piece of stone, looks very
But I was
shiny and
conscious of
like
a distinct
perfect
impression
cut.
that its contour and position were not altogether the work of nature.
I don't think this is the work of
A
nature.
closer scrutiny filled me with sensations I cannot express. For
Okay.
despite its enormous magnitude and its position in an abyss which had yawned at the bottom of the sea since the world was young, I perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith, whose massive bulk had known the workmanship and perhaps the worship of living and thinking creatures. Dazed and frightened, yet not without a certain thrill of the scientist's or archaeologist's delight, I examined my surroundings more closely.
Touch it. Just touch it. Oh.
Now near the zenith, shone weirdly and vividly above the towering steeps that hemmed in the chasm, and revealed the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions and almost lapping my feet as I stood on the slope. Across the chasm, the wavelets washed the base of the cyclopean monolith,
Fish. Those are the
on
picture of
whose
fishes.
surface I could now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures.
Okay. Do you know how to
The
read
writing
this?
was in a system of hieroglyphics unknown to me,
A
and
turtle!
unlike anything I'd ever seen in books, consisting for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like.
Don't forget about the turtle.
Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world.
Oh, so this is like the first row is like what we know, because like we see, and
whose
then in the
decomposing
depths,
forms I had observed on the ocean
the
risen
monster
plain.
in the depths. Well, thank
It
you.
was the pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound.
This for sure won't help my ocean frightening stuff. Storytelling methods. DAGON contains many themes and storytelling methods that Lovecraft developed in his later works, such as telling the story through carvings at the Mountains of Madness, the Nameless City, journals and characters note the shadow of the time, island emerging from the ocean, the Call of Cthulhu, a classic, or fictional beings and deities based on real events and mythologies. Okay, it's also considered the origin of the popular Cthulhu mythos. Some of Lovecraft's other stories also conclude in a manner similar to Dagon, but let's skip the details in order not to spoil the ending. Oh my god, so this is like the creatures
Plainly visible
like go
across the intervening water on
down
account
and
of their enormous
it
size
becomes
were an array of
more
bas
creepier.
reliefs whose subjects would have excited the envy of a doré. I think that these things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men, though the creatures were shown disporting like fishes in the waters
Oh
of
my
some
god.
marine grotto.
Are those like sirens? Like
or
mermaids?
paying homage at some monolithic shrine which appeared to be under the waves as well.
So they are.
Of their
True.
faces and forms I dare not speak in detail.
Oh my
For
god.
the mere remembrance makes me grow faint. Grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a
Oh
Bulwer.
no. Is that Cthulhu? Like on the
They were damnably
lower,
human
like
in general
the last
outline,
one?
despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby lips,
Oh my god.
glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to
I
recall.
can feel my feet.
Curiously
Disgusting.
enough, they seem to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their scenic background.
Imagine the
One of the
stuff like
creatures
really
was
being
shown in the act
under
of
the
killing a
ocean.
whale, represented as but little larger than himself.
Oh
I
god.
remarked, as I say, their grotesqueness and strange size,
Oh my god.
but in a moment decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring tribe.
Huh.
Some tribe whose last descendant had perished eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown or Neanderthal man was born.
Uh-huh. Touch it.
Awestruck at this unexpected glimpse into a past beyond the conception of the most daring anthropologist, I stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me. Then, suddenly, I saw it.
What did you saw?
With only a slight churning to mark its rise to the surface, the
No.
thing slid into view above the dark waters.
No. No.
Polyphemus-like and loathsome,
Oh my
it
god.
darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith,
Oh my.
about which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds.
Don't teach me,
I
please.
think I went mad then.
Uh,
Of my frantic ascent of the slope and cliff, and of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat, I remember little.
what? What?
I believe I sang a great deal and laughed oddly when I was unable to sing.
That's a whale. Oh my god, it's huge. I don't like this. I'm really scared of like
I have
ocean stuff.
indistinct recollections of a great storm sometime after I reached the boat.
I'm actually almost
At any
crying.
rate, I know that I heard pearls of thunder and other tones which nature utters only in her wildest moods.
The thing I don't like is the music is way louder than his voice acting, so that's a little bit annoying. Okay, that was...
When I came out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital,
Hi.
brought thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean.
Oh.
In my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention.
Oh, hi, Jesus.
Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing.
Where are my legs, though? And my torso? Where are...
Nor did I deem
Am I
it
just a
necessary
floating
to
head?
insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe.
I might be just a floating head. Oh, this. The journalist. Lovecraft was a prominent figure in the world of amateur journalism. In 1950, he started publishing his own journal called The Conservative, which included political and social commentary, poetry, short stories, and literary criticism written by him and other authors. Good for you. Yes. Cthulhu?
Once I sought out a celebrated ethnologist and amused him with peculiar questions regarding the ancient Philistine legend of Dagon, the fish god.
Oh, so that was Dagon, like the fish god. Nice office man. I really like this. Dagon, or Dagon? Dagon? Yes, Dagon was the main deity of the Philistines worshipped throughout the Middle East as the ancient god of fertility and crops. In Hebrew, the word Dagon was a common noun for grain. The rulers of Akkad, Mesopotamia, chose him as the patron saint of the war conquest. He also appeared as the judge of the dead in an Syrian poem and an underworld prison warden in one of the Babylonian texts. He is often mistakenly taken for a fish god due to the wrong interpretation of his name, as in Hebrew the word dag means fish. In H.P. Lovecraft's work, Dagon is an underwater deity ruling over the deep ones, a humanoid race with fish traits that resides in the ocean. He is worshipped by a secret cult called the Esoteric Order of Dagon. Wow! So is that what you saw there? Like it was the god?
But soon perceiving that he was hopelessly conventional, I did not press my inquiries.
August Derleth and the Cthulhu Mythos. August Derleth was an American writer and anthologist. He also befriended Lovecraft and published many of his work through his company, Arkham House. Although he greatly contributed to the popularization of the author's work after his death, he is surrounded by numerous controversies. One of his most questionable decisions involved introducing the God versus evil doctrine. Derleth was a devout Catholic to the Cthulhu mythos, which contrasts with Lovecraft's view of the world and his approach to cosmic horror. As a result, the author's work are often misunderstood and misinterpreted in today's culture. It is also worth noting that Lovecraft was never really interested in creating a mythology, and the term Cthulhu mythos was coined by Derleth after the author left the mortal plane. Ah, I see. I see. Interesting. Never knew where the... Hi. Now what? Oh.
It is
We're
at
here
night,
again.
especially when the moon is gibbous and waning, that I see the thing.
We are here
I
again.
tried morphine, but the drug has given only transient surcease and has drawn me into its clutches as a hopeless slave. So now I am to end it all, having written a full account for the information or the contemptuous amusement of my fellow men.
Huh. Lovecraft and tobacco and alcohol. Lovecraft hated tobacco, even though he used to smoke when he was 12, in order to look and feel like an adult. In his correspondence with friends, I don't know how to read Reinhard Kleiner. He claims that he quit as soon as he started wearing long pants. He also had a very strong opinion about alcohol, as evidenced by the letter to Zelia Brown, dated 13 February 1928. As for the matter of drinking, I have never tasted intoxicating liquor and never intend to, having a strong aesthetic disgust at anything which blunt or coarsens the delicate natural equipoise. What the fuck are those words? I'm sorry guys, of the evolved human intellect and imagination. Drinking is citing my personal repugnance, hence I don't drink. Let the herd do what they will. I'm rather in favor of prohibition, the prohibition of anyone and the social force as well as of any other. Gotcha. So you're taking the morphine?
Often, I ask myself if it could not all have been a pure phantasm, a mere freak of fever, as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat after my escape from the German man-of-war. This I ask myself, but ever does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply. I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling
and floundering on his slimy bed.
worshipping their ancient stone idols and carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine obelisks of water-soaked granite. I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows to drag down into their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind. Of a day when the land shall sink and the dark ocean shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium.
Oh god. Mm.
The end is near.
Oh, thank you.
I hear a noise at the door, as of some immense slippery body
Oh my God.
lumbering against it.
Oh my god.
It shall not find me.
I don't like this. Oh no.
God, that hand!
Oh my. No, no, no.
The window! The window!
What window? Yes. Escape. He jumped. Oh my god. What if that was just a vision? Thank you for playing. Hope you enjoy. Okay, that was good. I really enjoyed that. It was telling like a story. It was like an interactive story, and it was so cool. I really enjoyed that. Oh my god. Again, I'm scared of the oceans. I played a game, Solitude Underwater. It was absolutely terrified. So, yeah, I really enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed this too. So if you did, please consider leaving a like. Subscribe if you are new, because it'll be so nice to have you here. And as always, I hope I can see you all on the next one. Bye!